Let's talk about forgiveness. I hear a lot that you have to forgive in order to heal. Not true. They're two different things. Forgiving and healing are two absolutely separate things, and you can heal without forgiving. So let's break that down a little bit. Number one, healing is really personal. Healing does not require forgiveness. It is about you, your emotions, your safety, your peace. Forgiveness can be very helpful for some people, and it can be their path forward, but it's not the only way forward. You really don't have to force yourself to forgive to move on. Secondly, pressure to forgive can be harmful. Many people have been traumatized around whatever it is that they're feeling they should forgive. And the pressure to forgive can honestly be re traumatizing. We live in a culture that really pushes forgiveness, sometimes to the point of making people feel guilty when they do not feel like they can forgive. No one gets to tell you how to heal. Nobody. If forgiveness feels forced, you can slow down. You can slow down because if it feels forced, honestly, that can slow your healing down rather than help it. This is your journey and you get to choose. Thirdly, forgiveness isn't the same as letting go. We hear this a lot in our culture, a culture that pushes forgiveness, a culture that kind of can uphold a lot of toxic positivity and talk about letting go, like it's sort of the ultimate arrival destination. And it isn't. Forgiveness isn't the same as letting go. Sometimes people think if you don't forgive, you are holding on to some anger that is going to harm you. It's not true. You can let go of that resentment and the emotional hold someone has on you and still never forgive them. And that's okay. Number four, some wounds are too deep for forgiveness. For some people, the abuse, the betrayal, the harm that was done can be truly unforgivable. And in those cases, forcing forgiveness can feel like excusing what happened. And if we feel pressure to do that, again, it can be re traumatizing. It can feel like we don't have the voice that we need and we don't have a right to feel what we are feeling. Healing doesn't require making peace with the person who hurt you, it is about making peace with yourself. And number five, the focus, the kind of going from this, the focus should be on yourself and self empowerment, not on the offender. So I think one of the biggest problems with the way that forgiveness is talked about is that it puts the focus on the person who caused harm. And the healing isn't about them. It's really about, again, that self empowerment. And it's about you. It's about what you need in order to start feeling whole again versus kind of this step by step process that has some ultimate goal of forgiveness. And lastly, I think it's talking about alternative paths to healing. It doesn't look the same for everybody. It really doesn't. And if you're not in a place where you're ready to forgive or ever forgive, or you're in a place where maybe that is your goal, but you need to work through a lot of permission to feel what you're feeling right now, that's okay. And sometimes it may look, one of the ways of coping that doesn't look like I have to forgive is starting to process in therapy what happened, the realities, your experience as it was for you, and your takeaway from it, the impact on you, learning more self-compassion. And it's funny because I sort of imagine some eye rolls with that because we're living in a culture that colloquializes the term self-compassion and mindfulness. But truly, the way we talk to ourselves is just like food. We can eat junk, we can feed ourselves junk, or we can feed ourselves nourishment, nutritious nourishment. We choose. There's so much research on what our thoughts do chemically in our body, what they translate into and how they impact us. Consider the way that you're moving through, the way you're thinking about what happened, the way that you're thinking about what you're feeling and how you're treating yourself, the permission to feel it, get support to move through it in the way that works for you. Because what we don't want is, if you don't forgive, we don't want that anger or that pain holding you hostage and governing your life. And I think that's what some people equate forgiveness with. If you don't forgive, you're going to hold on to toxic anger. Not true. Again, healing can look like its own path while the forgiveness still, or the inability to forgive can still coexist. We just don't want it harming your life or putting the offender in the driver's seat. So again, it may be that self-compassion, it may be processing in therapy what happened, it may be permission to allow yourself anger that you've never allowed, healthy anger. It could be establishing boundaries if there's not a complete emotional cutoff with the person, or if that person is still in your life. Some of these circumstances we talk about, this may be a family member, this may be someone who you can't just cut off. And then we have to talk about what that looks like in real time, what the reality of certain boundaries can be, and how to prioritize your health and well-being and needs in these complex circumstances, with whatever is happening not being okay at the same time, and making sure that person gets support. So those are my thoughts on forgiveness for today. I think just remember, if you've ever felt like you should forgive and deep down you just don't want to, it's okay. You're healing, your choice. So I'd love to hear thoughts or comments in the comments if you've ever felt this way or what your path has been in your own healing. All right, I hope you have a great Monday, and I will see you soon.